Special Advisor Salma Shah. Great to see both of you. And among the stories we will be discussing, this on the front page of the Daily Mail. Its headline, now council tax to rise by £110. Plus Trump and Biden, of course, as you can see there. Back in a moment.
Day of this conflict.
They keep telling us that they want aid.
And this is what's left of it.
Tanks, heavy vehicle.
Why only in America?
People want their country to work.
You want a job in a normal life.
Why are these homes empty?
I want you to be honest with people.
That has happened within minutes.
Sky News, the full story first. Free wherever you get your news.
Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the broadcaster and commentator Alex Andreou and the former Conservative Special Advisor Salma Shah. Welcome and great to see both of you. So to the front pages then, let us kick off with The Guardian. It leads with the Middle East and a report from Human Rights Watch which says Israel is committing crimes against humanity in Gaza. The Metro reports that Pete Hegseth, the weekend breakfast presenter for Fox News, who has no prior government experience, is Donald Trump's nominee for US Defence Secretary. The FT has that breaking news from this hour on pension reform. The headline, Reeves will force council pensions to merge into 8 £50 billion mega funds. Trump and Biden pictured, as you can see. Daily Mail says council tax is set to rise by an average of £110 per household. That news coming after PMQs, where the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch attacked the Prime Minister over the issue. On the front page of The Times, the backlash over the budget continues. Ahead of the Chancellor's speech at Mansion House tomorrow, the British Retail Consortium have warned that job losses are inevitable and higher prices a certainty. An email leaked to The Eye appears to show the official leading the government's home building plan, admitting there is no way it can be accomplished before the next election. The Telegraph again defending its columnist Alison Pearson after it emerged she received a visit from Essex police over an allegation of inciting racial hatred on social media, something that she denies. And the Daily Mirror with an exclusive expose on beauty firms as the Wild West of cosmetic surgery in Britain is revealed. Well, a reminder, by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch our guests. So let's head straight to Alex and Salma. Welcome to both of you. Kicking off with the picture story, really, of the newspapers, which is Trump, Biden and the White House. Fascinating to see. Clearly did not happen 4 years ago, in reverse. The reports were that the fireside was crackling, as you can see in the picture there. But the appointments, Alex, coming thick and fast this evening.
Yes, thick and fast, mainly thick, if I can say so. No, there are some very, very strange ones in there. Particularly notable is Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Now, Tulsi Gabbard, I would encourage you viewers to look up her story. It's a very, very interesting political journey. She was a Democrat congressperson from Hawaii, stood against Hillary Clinton, lost in the first round, at which point she started to say that it was all some deep state conspiracy, left the Democrats, ended up a very, very regular on Fox, and then launched her own podcast that is really all about the deep state. She is a conspiracist in every sense of the word. So to appoint her as Director of National Intelligence is really quite a thing. Quite a thing.
It's interesting because we have the same problem that we had in the first Trump administration, which is it's absolute loyalists that are being appointed to these positions, and there isn't any kind of sense that, you know, you've got to bring lots of different people with lots of different experiences in around the table. But also there's this media element to it, there's this entertainment element to it. He's sort of bringing people in that are a lot like himself in that they have created personal brands and they've created trust with people through their podcasts or TV shows or whatever it might be. But also critics, cynics of the establishment. So it's not like he wants to have people that are going to be trusted by the DOJ, the Defense Department, or any of the other institutions or organisations that he's recruiting for. It is really about the skeptic coming in, you know, like Elon Musk, I'll take all this money out of the federal budget, etc. It is people that are naturally actually mistrustful of the system. And so there is a theme, there is a logic that runs through it.
Yes, there's an internal logic, but surely there is a lot of space between someone who is not an establishment person and appointing someone who's still under investigation by Congress for having an affair with a minor and sex trafficking to run the Department of Justice. I mean,
allegations denied, of course.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm saying he's still under investigation.
Yes, so the new Attorney General, newly appointed Attorney General, with the news that this would be a beefed-up role because the Ministry of Justice is under attack, and so might the FBI be with the reports before the election, because, of course, Donald Trump has accused the Ministry of Justice of being weaponised under the Trump administration in order to be out to get him. So, you know, goodbye all the court cases, no doubt. Let's go to the world section of the Times, shall we? There's the fireside and the handshake, all cordial. You know, what they're both thinking about each other, who knows? But you're talking about the smoothest of transitions. It is desperately a contrast from 2020-21, isn't it?
It is, and I saw the little interview that they did, you know, not interview really, they have a bit of recorded comment. And Trump seemed to not be aware at all of the irony that he was sitting there and saying, oh, it's very nice that you're doing a very smooth transition. It's like, he doesn't seem to be aware that the same rules apply to him, which is really the Trump theme, has been from the start.
Yes, and I do wonder as well, the sort of warm welcome, the fireside, the sort of glowing picture that's come out. There is obviously, there's still sort of rumours circulating and it's been published in the press about the fact that Biden's sort of quite pleased after his ousting as a candidate and sort of thinks that this is a great farewell from him, given that he wasn't treated, as I expect from his perspective, that nicely by the Democrats. So I think there might be a little bit of that, a little bit of sour grapes involved in this too.
Yes, and also in this paper, in fact, the bit we've cut off, Elon Musk helped me to cut insanely dumb spending. One of the US networks tonight talking about the possibility of cutting $2 trillion worth of spending. Now, what is therefore being cut? You know, again, rumours of the education department, you know, throw it back to the States, for example. But, you know, slash and burn level when you talk about trillions of dollars.
I mean, I think that's the point, that there's a lot you can delegate to the state level. And because there is a notion that the Trump government in general wants to degrade the fabric of the federal nature.
Well, it's the classic right-wing small government stuff, isn't it, really?
Well,
but it's agencies that warn about tornadoes or hurricanes sort of in the firing line, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it's not their...
But then
it's not their thing. If a hurricane happens...
that is a federal agency.
No, but what I'm saying is if they delegate it to the state level and say, that's yours now...
Yeah, but hurricanes go across more than one state, don't they? I mean, you know, but anyway,
But what's interesting is that you now have two heads of this, responsible for cutting this money. So you've got Elon Musk and then you have a former Trump... contender for the Republican candidacy, and Vivek Ramaswamy. And he said something like, well, do we really need the Department for Education, for example? And so I think you can talk a good game about, and as Elon says, having a leaderboard of dumb ways that the tax dollar is spent. But as the old adage goes, to govern is to choose. Every choice that they make will have implications for the House as well and all of other elected Republicans. So there will be backlash.
Yeah, and just very quickly, we'll show the choice for Defence Secretary, which will no doubt everyone will watch very closely. The Fox News TV host, Pete Hegseth, 44-year-old former National Guardsman in charge of thousands of service personnel, veterans and procurement budgets, which will be fascinating. Do you mind if we move on? Got a lot to pack in this evening. Let us go to the Times then. Business backlash over the budget continues. Rachel Reeves and her Mansion House speech coming on, what day is it tomorrow? Thursday evening. But, you know, where's this falling at the moment then? Salma, do you want to kick off? Salma?
Yeah, so there's two parts to it. We'll go on to it in a minute with the FT, where we've got some specifics that are potentially coming out from Rachel Reeves' speech. But here, we've got retailers who are really complaining about the impact of the NICS increases and the tax changes in the thresholds, because you've got big supermarkets who are facing absolutely enormous cuts to what they had expected on their balance sheets because they are massive employers. And I think the knock-on effect on this is growth, as everyone has talked about. But this is, I think, one of the big sort of sectors that's coming out and publicly condemning what Rachel Reeves has done in the budget. I think what this means politically is that the nervousness that existed around Labour and what they would do has been sort of compounded, and that big business sort of flirtation that Labour had in opposition, I don't think it was
a proper woo. It wasn't a flirtation, was it?
So I think the business was a lot more sceptical, but they saw which way the wind was blowing and they decided to go with it. But there was always a nervousness around, you know, let's see what happens when she does her first budget, and now she has. Yeah. I think that, you know, the gloves are going to come off.
OK. FT then, the Mansion House speech, the idea of merging little pension pots and making them mega ones in order to use the money for investment is sort of the idea behind this.
I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. We were saying before we came on that the state doesn't really use its purchasing muscle efficiently enough. That is often the case. Combining loads of small funds into one that has the power and ability to get a better deal out there in the market in terms of investment seems to me a very, very sensible thing.
OK. And slightly connected to that story we're going to come on to in just a moment is that council tax looks set to rise above the rate of inflation. And we'll bring you that cheery news in just a moment.
We're rolling.
Welcome to the world.
Our new podcast, starting now. It's very exciting. Every week, we'll be reporting from the world's trouble spots.
We get to hold those in positions of power accountable, and we get to ask the questions that the audience, the listeners, want to know about.
And that's why it is so important that people tune in, come along for the road, come along for the journey. It'll be fun.
I'm Stuart Ramsey, and I'm Sky's chief correspondent.
An enormous explosion that's just come down. I think it was a monster just landed in between us.
Hundreds and hundreds of people hoping to get north, ultimately to get to the United States.
It's a border where they're not welcome, yet they keep coming.
We saw snatch squads going in, grabbing people, taking them out and putting them into trucks and taking them away.
They make about 50 kilos of fentanyl a week. It's incredibly dangerous and toxic stuff.
There's been an upsurge in deaths. The fighting between the gangs is getting more and more vicious.
Is this now all your territory?
Yeah.
The battlefield is outside the barricades, which is over there. This is much more like a normal town. It's really sending a clear message that Venezuela is eager for change. We're being crushed.
Free from wherever you get your news.
We are in the middle of a forest, in a jungle really, and they're attempting to keep these men alive. This is real, hardcore emergency medicine. The information on this could bring down the entire network, not just in Iraq and Syria, but across the world.
Sky News, the full story first.
Hundreds of thousands of people have been using the beast for years to traverse Mexico, but it is really dangerous. Many people have died riding it.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's futures.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away. So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview, joined once again by Alex Andreou and Salma Shah. Welcome back to both of you. So, council taxes, another tax, going up by, it seems, 5%, which will be about £110 average per household. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, not great.
Personally, yeah. Nobody welcomes taxes.
Nobody loves taxes. Okay.
Think of the spending, which is what Keir Starmer is trying to get people to say today.
The question is, does the state need to raise this money and why? And really, on the local authority level, it's all about social care. That is the part of the services that is really, really creaking and bursting at the seams. And so, I mean...
I think the issue is, as well, in the way that they're splitting it, they're saying 3% social care, 2% for other spending. There is, on top of that, as well, a social care levy. So, in and of itself, there have been previous council tax rises over the last decade, up to 5%, beyond which you would have to have a local referendum. Yeah. I think the issue here, and the Daily Mail, by the way, has always hated these, even under a Conservative government, any of these kinds of rises. There's an editorial position, I think, to not support it. But coming off the back of a huge increase in the budget, albeit for business, not individual tax rises, increasing cost of living, I think this is another sort of stress that is going to be on households, and I imagine that that's the reason Kemi Badenoch decided that she would go on this with some mixed success at the dispatch box.
And to be fair, you know, privately run care homes affected by the issues you raised earlier, which is national insurance and wage increases via the national minimum wage, which, you know, may cause some to close, in fact. Publicly, not so much, of course, not so much targeted. In the meantime, let us go to housing. Labour will miss its new homes pledge, is the front page of the... I've got the eye. We'll come back to you in a minute, that in a minute. But anyway, carry on with the eye for now.
Yeah, so this is really interesting because there's always been a pledge over successive governments to, over a parliament, increase house building by 1 million new homes. And the target's never really reached, nobody really knows what happens to the numbers, etc., etc. And so Labour came in with a target of 1.5 million, which was, anybody who's worked in housing and the housing department, which I have, it's sort of surprising that they would go to that level. Now, the outgoing chief executive of an organisation called Homes England, which is supposed to deliver these houses, an email to staff has been leaked that says the 2029 target of 1.5 million homes is ambitious, which I think is civil service code for not going to happen. And realistically, this is a 2-parliamentary term approach. Now, these things have a habit of leaking out, but I think that because this is a huge issue for so many people, getting on the housing ladder, having safe, secure housing, and it's such a central pledge to the manifesto. I think this is going to be really telling. So being able to watch and follow how this target progresses and whether it can be met is something that we should all follow closely.
And quick look at our final story in the Metro is how to deal with scam callers, and the idea is have a fake granny voice.
I love this story. This is proper technology strikes back. So basically, it's an AI-generated nan that engages with scammers and basically keeps them on the phone for upwards to 40 minutes by telling loads of yarns, and you know, it's designed to make the person trying to scam think that they're doing well, that they're gaining her trust. It's kind of magnificent, actually.
It's called a scam beta tool.
Scam beta tool.
I love it.
Coming to a home near you. Alex and Salma, lovely to see you both. Thank you. See you for more in the 11, obviously. To the weather now. The next few days look mainly dry, although fairly cloudy, but it will turn much more unsettled over the weekend with a cold northerly flow developing. There'll be a rather murky, mostly mild start tomorrow. Drizzly outbreaks in the north and south and fog in places, but expect a local frost following any lengthy overnight clear spells. Northwestern parts will stay rather grey and damp through the morning. Fog on the hills. But the cloud will tend to break up elsewhere with lingering drizzly outbreaks in the south fading. So southern, eastern England look like having the best sunny spells. Temperatures around the November average again, but expect a chilly breeze in the southeast. Afternoon bringing more of the same. Cloud breaks will begin to fill in later. Friday, another rather murky day with more widespread drizzly outbreaks. Well, our press preview continues in Sky News at 11. Biden and Trump meet in the White House. We will have the latest on Donald Trump's appointments, some of them set to provoke more controversy.
Play Sky News.
From the Sky News Centre at 7.
Now that you're up to date, we can go into a bit more detail.
Things can change incredibly quickly.
Taken by surprise.
Have you ever known a moment like this in British politics before? Yes. Cheers.
We'll start with breaking news.
Let's get the latest on the ground.
So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better.
The most significant day of this conflict.
They keep telling us that they want aid.
And this is what's left of it.
Why only in America? People want their country to work.
You want a job in a normal life.
Why are these homes empty?
I want you to be honest with people.
That has happened within minutes.
Sky News, the full story first. Free wherever you get your news.